Imagine this. The year is 1962. The Cold War is at a fever pitch, a silent, tense standoff between two global superpowers. But the real race, the one that captivates the world, isn't for territory or for weapons. It's for the stars. Well, and you. You're right in the heart of it all. You're a young, ambitious engineer, fresh out of college. And you've just started your dream job at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. I'll never forget the first time I walked into that hangar. It was like stepping into a cathedral built for giants. Rockets, taller than any building I'd ever seen, stood like monuments to human ambition. The air was thick with the smell of oil, hot metal, and something else. Something electric. It was the scent of pure, unadulterated ambition. Every single person in that building, from the janitor to the lead scientist, was united by a single, all-consuming mission: to beat the Soviets to the moon. My day started before the Florida sun even thought about rising. A quick, bitter coffee, a thick roll of blueprints under my arm, and I was off to my drafting table. The design floor was a symphony of controlled chaos. The air was hazy with cigarette smoke, a constant backdrop to the rhythmic clatter of typewriters and the low hum of conversation. Electronic calculators? We did everything by hand. Pencils, slide rules, and the raw, untamed power of the human brain. My project was a small but vital piece of an enormous puzzle. The guidance system for the Saturn V. This wasn't just any rocket. It was the most powerful machine humanity had ever conceived. Every calculation, every circuit diagram, every single line I drew on that paper had to be perfect. There was no room for error. One miscalculation, one misplaced decimal point, and 3 brave men might not make it home. The weight of that responsibility was immense, a constant pressure in the back of my mind. Lunch breaks were less about food and more about debating the impossible. We'd gather around a rickety table, sandwiches forgotten, and ask the big questions. Can a human body actually withstand the brutal forces of launch and the vacuum of space? Can we really build a machine that can escape Earth's gravity without tearing itself apart? The questions were endless, but so was our determination to find the answers. We were fueled by coffee and a shared, almost fanatical belief in what we were doing. The pressure at times was almost unbearable. The news was filled with Soviet triumphs. They'd already launched Sputnik. It put the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into orbit. America felt like it was playing catch-up, always one step behind. Doubt would creep in during the long, lonely hours of the night. But then, President Kennedy's words would echo in my mind. We choose to go to the moon in this decade. And do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Those words were our mantra, our North Star. They were the reason we endured the 16-hour days, the missed birthdays, the sleepless nights staring at complex equations. The challenge itself was our motivation. Then came the year 1969, the culmination of nearly a decade of relentless effort. The world held its breath. Apollo 11 stood ready on the launch pad. I had spent years of my life on this mission. I'd seen prototypes explode on test stands. I'd argued over budgets. I'd rechecked my calculations 1,000 times. But this was the moment of truth. July 16th. Die. The Saturn V stood magnificent, bathed in the bright morning sunlight, a silver arrow aimed at the heavens. I was in the control room, a headset clamped over my ears, my heart hammering against my ribs. The final countdown, was a surreal, slow-motion experience. Then the voice crackled through the static, calm and clear. "We have liftoff." The entire building, the very ground beneath our feet, began to tremble. Through the thick glass, I watched the rocket ascend. It moved with an agonizing slowness at first, as if fighting against the entire planet's gravity. Then it gained speed, accelerating into a brilliant point of light, a testament to humanity breaking free from its terrestrial cradle. A wave of cheers erupted around me, but I couldn't join in, could barely breathe. My mind was racing through 1,000 different failure scenarios. I knew just how many things still had to go perfectly right. The journey had only just begun. 4 days later, the tension in mission control was so thick you could cut it with a knife. We were all crowded around the monitors, listening to the crackle of the transmission from 240,000 miles away. Time seemed to slow down. Then, through the static, came those immortal words from Neil Armstrong: "Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed." For a single, beautiful second, there was absolute silence. The only sound was the hum of the computers. Then the room exploded. It was a tidal wave of pure, unadulterated joy. We were yelling, laughing, crying. Strangers were hugging each other like family. I felt tears streaming down my face, a release of years of pent-up anxiety, hope, and exhaustion. We did it. Not just our team, not just NASA. America did it. Humanity did it. I looked at the grainy black and white image on the screen. A ghostly figure in a bulky suit was descending a ladder. Neil Armstrong was stepping onto the surface of the moon, and I whispered to myself so quietly no one could hear, "I helped make that happen." In that instant, every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt became worth it. I finally understood. You weren't just building rockets and computers. You were building history. We were a part of something that proved to the entire world that when we dare to dream big enough, when we unite behind a common goal, we can achieve the impossible. We can touch the stars. Years have passed since then. I'm retired now. My hair is grayer, and my hands aren't as steady as they once were. But almost every clear night, I find myself stepping outside and looking up at the moon, and I smile. Because I know that a small piece of my work, a small piece of my heart, is still up there silently orbiting the Earth, a permanent reminder of a time when we reached for the heavens and actually got there. Thanks for watching.